imagine you wake up to a perfectly ambient room filled with the botanical aromas of your sun garden. You then reach for your ethically made organic slippers and cozy dressing gown and saunter on into the kitchen. Upon realizing you're out of fresh food for breakfast in the busy day ahead, you simply walk on up to your rooftop vertical garden. You pick some nourishing produce and bask in the golden morning sunshine. You then walk back past the new solar panels that help power your retrofitted inner city apartment block. This renewable energy resource also helps power the shared electric vehicle you now jump into, as today's work will have you going adventurously to the outskirts of the city. You're working on a project that's turning an old wayside, a relic of the linear economy that destroyed and depleted our natural resources, into something of a now regenerative urban oasis. It's an all too vivid reminder of what you went through in the past, the struggle to survive and overcome the resource shortages we experienced when our linear economy had pushed us almost to the brink of extinction. But you didn't fail to survive. In fact, you adopted then technologies and a willingness to thrive to create a regenerative world. How did you do this? You built a circular economy. What you just dreamt of sounds sublime, doesn't it? However, we currently still have a linear economy. It's pushing us to the point of scarcity with our natural resources. Why? Because we take so much natural resources, we make products that aren't designed to last. They know we're going to come back and buy some more, so they think, let's build a business model that's unsustainable because it's highly profitable for them. But we buy these products, and because they're so cheap, we hardly use them. And as a result, these precious natural resources find their ways to landfill. As a result, that abundance is buried underground. We have to spend money to maintain this waste. And these resources also have quite a high value to them. Now, the danger and dissatisfaction to this model seems so obvious when described in this way. We can probably take a moment and think, why am I partaking in this? Because it's concealed from us. We walk through shops where there's shiny new cheap products that flow upon shelf upon shelf upon shelf. We go online to purchase platforms, and page after page after page, we find ourselves with an overwhelming amount of choices. But this reality isn't endless. It's quite false. And every year when we reach Earth Overshoot Day, we're reminded of this. This year, we hit Earth Overshoot Day almost halfway through the year. Now, there's only so much amount of resources we can take from our natural world. It's quite scary, but we live in a very developed world, and we're at the top, so to speak, of the food chain. We don't feel the harmful effects of what this actually generates. So we can freely go about our business, like in Australia, where we consume so much that we need almost 4 planets. Now, the last time I checked, there weren't a spare 3 planets hovering around in some parallel universes. There's only one. So how do we go about this? And how do we go about understanding that we can't avoid this? How do we go about thinking about our environment in different terms from our economy? Because you might not be so mistaken to think, well, when our economy crashes, we kind of get a little bit cheeky and just print a whole bunch of money. Can't we just do that for the environment? Well, we learned in the 1990s Biosphere 2 experiment, where they tried to basically replicate planet Earth. Now, they put some soil, some water, some air in there, and even 8 occupants that were willing to stay the distance for 2 whole years. They thought everything was going along fine until all of a sudden these 8 occupants went into survival mode. They split into 2 totally different groups and things started to go sour. The scientists couldn't quite figure out what was going wrong until they realized they had got the soil composition wrong in the experiment. What this meant was that all the atmospheric oxygen was being sucked into the soils to levels that it was like living on the highest mountaintops. Now, of course, the experiment failed, but what it reminded us of was that it's very, very difficult to replicate our entire environment, that we need to take care of it. And technically, we have a one Earth budget because we need a biosphere to survive. But we like the idea of still having an economy. It enables for us to make things, to trade things, to enjoy our lives, and to thrive. So then how can we reconcile these two different ideas? I propose what many people have proposed before, to create a circular economy. It would see us taking less new natural resources, thinking of old waste as a new resource, making things that are designed to last, that can be repaired and reused. So instead of just using things a little bit, we'd be using them a lot and making the most of not just the money we've spent, but the natural resources that have gone in there, so we can stay within that one Earth budget. It would also help us restore the natural world around us, because we want a planet for future generations to come, don't we? There's also something quite interesting in regards to the circular economy, because we're not just bearing natural resources, we're actually bearing economic value. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation, along with McKinsey & Co. a few years ago, did a study, and they realized that the value that we were bearing mindlessly through wasteful supply chains was actually to the value of $1 trillion. Now, this was done only a few years ago, and it's not even factoring in some of the economic, entrepreneurial, creative thinking that different businesses might create. And it's not exactly always what we think is going to occur. We've already started to get used to different ways of looking at underutilized space. Even apps or different businesses that will help you turn your house into a hotel for a night is a way of utilizing underutilized space and being able to turn that into something of value without having to create something new. Now, this all sounds very promising, but as we learned earlier, it can be a little bit difficult to try and get to that point of seeing the impact we're having. So how can we find an interesting and effective way to get ourselves inspired to really take this on and create a circular economy? I propose the ACE way to create a circular economy. I've learned this through trying to achieve this for myself, watching other people try and create a zero-waste lifestyle, trying to be more sustainable, more mindful, and more innovative with the resources we already have around us. Now, it's not the most easiest way, but sometimes it can be really fun. It can help you connect more broadly to the world around you and people. Now, accountability. It sounds a little bit serious, and it doesn't necessarily mean we all have to become accountants. It basically means that we have to recognize that we're the ones who hold the power in the system. Now, take, make, use. Businesses won't take things, they won't make things unless we're buying them. So recognize that you hold the power to the world that you're shaping, because every single dollar you spend builds the world we live in. So before you go to purchase something or support a business or an organization, think about where those materials or energy has come from. How much are you going to use it? And where is it going to go after you've experienced that product or service? Now, the circulate part. It requires a little bit of sifting and thinking through the different types of resources we have around us. Natural things have to stay within the environment, and technical materials like polyester or synthetic threads, we have to try and keep out of our natural world. But with a little bit of creative thinking, we can try and find the things that have value that we're underutilizing. Take, for instance, when I was getting ready today and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have a hair tie. And I couldn't remember the last time I'd bought one because it had been quite a while. I simply sifted through my stuff and found this amazing hair piece in what I've got. And it reminded me that so often we buy things unconsciously that we forget how much we've got around us. So consider the things that you've already got, the things that you could simply borrow, reuse, instead of buying new, to help utilize the resources we've got and stay within our One Earth budget. And finally, education. Now, this is not the type of formal education where you sit in a lecture theatre and you hear about the all the different R's in terms of zero waste and sustainability. It's more about connecting to different groups of people. I, for myself, have learnt the most by listening to other people, by trialing things for myself and being not scared to fail or feel a little bit uncomfortable. And a great example of this is last year, a Dutch foundation tried to create this campaign where they were trying to crowdsource action to get people to not buy fast fashion anymore. With my Dutch surname, they thought I was also in Holland, so slow fashion summer had to become slow fashion season. And it was not just me trying to have my own impact by not purchasing new garments for a couple of months. It actually was a couple of thousand people agreeing to the same action and having a collectively large impact. This year round, it was thousands and thousands more that had joined on to help create a movement and generate awareness and education that our impact is real through how we choose to use things and how we refuse to use things in a way that's wasteful. So I felt like I was personally quite a winner in this situation, not just saving money, but also gaining a really large awareness of the impact that I could have alongside others. I also saved a little bit of money, but I was also able to buy some secondhand clothes, so not a lot of money was saved. But I still felt like I was winning in this situation because I was a part of a larger group of people that were able to have a really enormous collective impact, something that in my own lifetime, even if I was living a perfectly zero waste lifestyle, I just couldn't achieve. So, if we really consider our One Earth budget, if we consider the impact we're having upon people, and if we consider the economic value that we're disregarding through mindlessly using our natural resources, we can help create a circular economy. We can help stop ourselves from losing our precious natural resources and from losing the economic value. We can help gain into developing a circular economy that will tap into that $1 trillion that might help us see the power that we really hold in the supply chain, that we're the ones responsible for how products are used. And if we are or aren't using them, we either are or aren't losing or winning. It's down to us. We have the power. We have the capability of turning things around. So just like you imagined at the beginning, change is possible. But as I discussed before, the challenge is incredibly real. We're beginning to see this with the extreme weather events that we're experiencing, with resource shortages in countries that we might not directly be feeling now because we're lucky and privileged to be in a country where we don't feel direct impact. But we see it in certain parts of our world as well. So, instead of being a part of a linear economy where we're all collectively losers in losing natural resources and economic value, we can be a part of a circular economy where we can win back our planet, win back economic value, and win back our awareness of the power that we really have to shape the world that we live in. So, do you guys all want to be winners together? Yes. Thank you.